Hello everyone, my name is Jason, this is
Monty.
Today we're doing a brand new video. We're doing our second official Chronicles of Truth, and it's on David and Goliath. And now I'm going to start it off today. Now this story can be found in 1 Samuel chapter 17. Now it says the Philistines' army had gathered all around Israel and was ready for war. Saul got together a band of troops and met the Philistines on the battlefield. As Saul's men were planning their attack strategy, a warrior from the opposing side stepped upon the battlefield. The warrior was over 9 feet tall, and the men from Saul's camp stared in wonder and fright at the colossal fighter. The man called himself Goliath. He wore a helmet of pure brass, a chest plate made of metal, his legs were wrapped in brass, and upon his back he wore a javelin, and in his hand he held a spear which he would shake violently at the Israelites. He spoke in a loud voice, called out to the Israelites, "Why have you come out to make war? Am I not a Philistine, you servants of Saul? Send out a man for yourselves and let him come down to me." He continued his tirade by adding, "If he is able to have a fight with me and overcome me, then we will be your servants. But if I am able to overcome him, then you will be our servants and do work for us." He then began to turn his back, but added, "I put to shame the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man so that we may have a fight together." He then returned to the enemy camp. After hearing Goliath's message, all of Israel's troops were in great fear. Now there was a young shepherd boy named David, the youngest son of Jesse. Jesse had 8 sons, 3 of which served in King Saul's army. Their names were Eliab, Abinadab, and Shammah, in King Saul's army. Now David was not old enough to fight in the war, obviously, so he kept watch over his father's sheep. One afternoon, Jesse told David to bring food to his brothers, and also bring him news on the ongoing war. When David arrived on the battlefield, Goliath stepped out on the field and began taunting the children of Israel again, as he did every day. The army of Israel were covered in fear, while David stood there staring at the hulking man and asking what would be done to stop him. Eliab, his eldest brother, stepped up to him and asked him bluntly, "Why have you come here? And to whose care have you given that little flock of sheep in the wasteland? I have knowledge of your pride and the evil of your heart. You've come down to see the fight." David turned to his brother, somewhat confused by the words, and asked, "What have I done now? Was it not only a word?" He again asked the same question, but received the same answer from the crowd. David's action was spread throughout the camp, and when Saul heard of the claims, he sent for him immediately. David said to Saul, "Let no man's heart become feeble because of him. I, your servant, will out and have a fight with this Philistine." But Saul quickly retorted, "You are not able to go out against this Philistine and have a fight with him, for you are only a boy, and he has been a man of war from his earliest days." He's going to take over from here.
Alright, so, basically, what was happening is David is being rejected by King Saul, of course, as he was saying. They feared that David was not strong enough to take out Goliath. Well, we already know that they're wrong, but Saul was trying to put armor upon David. David refused the armor, of course, and went out to the battlefield. While David was out in the battlefield, he claimed to possess the power. He did not claim to possess the power to defeat Goliath, but he did say that he would fight Goliath. When Goliath looked at him, seeing nothing but his shepherd's rod that David carried from being a shepherd all of his life, he looked at him and felt offended. Goliath said, "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks?" And David said, "I come to you not with a sword and spear, but I come to you with the word of the Lord." Paraphrasing, of course. In the name of the Lord, of course. And, that got Goliath all riled up, so Goliath was ready to fight, and David ran out into the battlefield and grabbed a rock from his sheath and a slingshot, and threw the rock from a slingshot at Goliath. Now this was 9 feet tall, and obviously not a very small battlefield if there were 2 armies sending upon him. Great shot, as a matter of fact. And he's already said he had a complete helmet of brass, so the only place in his entire body that was not covered in brass was the temple of his forehead. And that is exactly where the stone hit, making the stone knock out Goliath. Now, scholars debate whether the stone actually killed Goliath, but we do know that it at least knocked him out. And David went and grabbed Goliath's sword, taking the sword of his enemy, which I believe is awesome in the first place, and cut off Goliath's head, bringing it to King Saul. That's the basic story.
And that's the basic story of David and Goliath. Now, David has a very cool life. Just read over it. It's probably one of the most interesting, lives in the Bible. One of the greatest biographies that we have in the Bible that we can read over. And he has a very interesting life from cover to cover. You will not be able to stop reading it. It's in 1st and 2nd Samuel if you want to continue reading from here. Great man. He's one of my favorite Bible characters. So it's an awesome story, and I really love that throughout this entire story, it sort of shows how even though we may be outnumbered and we may look outnumbered by earthly men, with God on our side, all things are possible, as the scripture says. So that is all for today for our second official Chronicles of Truth. I can't believe it's only 2, but we should have more than that by now. And so, of course, I did want to announce that we were teasing a new segment a couple weeks back. And so I'd like to now announce the name of that. The name of that is Music Inspection, and more details to follow on that. That's going to be really fun. And the reason we're doing this because we were actually talking about it one night, and we were just looking at the schedule. And if you notice, within the month we do 2 Chronicles of Truth, and I just think that's way too much for any segment. I think you only need to do 1 segment every month. So there wasn't really any way that we would just be able to stop that without, of course, deleting 1 week. So we just decided, how about we add another segment, and we did. And so you guys are really going to enjoy this one. It's really different, but I think it's going to enhance the channel a lot. So we're really excited about the future. And so, with all that said and done, my name is Jason. This is
Monty,
signing off.